This was a bit of sad news out of the week, if I can get the computer to cooperate with me, which is like a
Yes.
40-60 deal. We all know that. And
Pretty
that
shitty
would
week.
be the passing of director William Friedkin, who most of us know as the director of The Exorcist.
Yeah.
And French Connection,
French Connection.
but The Exorcist really for me was the quintessential Friedkin movie. Other people will have other things, but that was it for me. I mean, he wasn't a spring chicken. He had a good run, and man, he left a good legacy. So rest in peace. Not most directors don't. They'll have a decent longevity, but then they don't always leave us with the fields of gold.
Well, the best thing from the French Connection is the car chase, because parts of it are real, and the director was actually sitting in the back seat. So that's crazy.
Wow.
Robbie Robertson also died this week too.
He did. Yes, co-founder of the band. For those who may or may not know. Oh, holy crap, Gray! What? Well, that's not Gray. That's Zim. Zim is invading Gray space. Gray.
Hey, Gray.
What's up, Gray?
Yeah.
I am feeling Genki today, and I'm saying it wrong because I say it wrong. So, this the funny story of the week. I'm going to start with
comment there, Pops. Yeah, I saw your comment.
I'm going to start with the Blaze first. If I bring up the graphic, here we are. So Anheuser-Busch is selling off 8 of their brands after the oops.
Like you would have thought, they should have known their target audience.
Yeah, but did you see who they're selling these?
Yeah, it's
amazing.
Selling it to
cannabis companies.
So there are a lot of things you haven't heard of. I mean, Shock Top you probably have, Blue Point, Breckenridge, Red Hook, and Highball. So a couple of those.
I've heard of all of these.
But yeah, you're a bartender.
That's true. See, I'm left behind.
Has there ever been a protest movement though that has stuck like this, like because even like things I remember of with a Starbucks, or you have lefties that hate on Chick-fil-A and things like that, but nothing has stuck long term or damaged a brand this magnitude, like 42%. Like this is nuts. This is like
there's something about that.
Yeah, it's like
this
nothing's
was
changing.
Preloaded, because here's the thing about this. So I live in a town like maybe 120,000 metro area, right? There are no less than 4 brew pubs making their own beer, selling their own beer. That's much better.
Yeah.
So you already had people leaving these big brands because they suck, and there's other choices. Plus, you remember once upon a time you couldn't have a liquor ad on TV. You could only have beer. Now you have whiskey and bourbons. How many different types of bourbons are there now? And
too many.
And then there's legal marijuana. There's so many different choices other than just drinking crappy beer that people are using it. And then when something like this comes on where, okay, they saw that their numbers were dipping, they tried to increase them, their inclusivity thing. They went after a fraction of the percentage of the population and just pissed off whole, segments of people. People are ready to leave these people already. And this was just the thing they needed. The push they needed to go find something better. This isn't a boycott anymore. This is actually a brand change.
That's what
People
I mean.
are not going back.
It's so weird though to live through the fact that this wasn't just a boycott. It become a meme. It become a virus in the system. To like now, it's like something that's a stigma. And Joker, you can probably speak to this. Being in a bar, like I see a stigma among the normies of I don't want to be seen with a Bud Light.
Oh yeah,
At least where I live, there's been a slight drop in the consumption of Anheuser-Busch products, but not enough to where it changes and it's not enough to where we're ordering less.
Mm-hmm.
So
kind of reminds me when heavy metal died in the 90s. Remember when all of a sudden this boom, it was gone?
Mando! Rex is here.
Rex!
Sister!
Goodness gracious. Hi, Jana. Thank you, Ken.
You started this, Roman.
I did, and I regret it. But here we are. So I believe Modelo has actually filled that hole that Anheuser-Busch market shares were taking before.
Right.
And again, whoops. It's funny because this isn't even like a tough one.
I don't drink.
You don't need to be reading the market.
I don't think I've ever had a Bud Light.
You didn't miss it.
Beer.
And Bush.
No, but it's a very
that smell
crowd,
if you go into like an abandoned building and it's cat spray smell.
Yeah, it's piss water. Yeah.
That's what it is. That's what it tastes like.
I've just never been a beer person.
Much better options out there local.
Yeah.
Well, true. Yeah. I mean, the IPA market, because San Diego, but the IPA market out here was huge. But that's been taking a big dip. Kind of.
Those are gross too.
No.
Yes, they are.
Agree to disagree.
They're disgusting.
You're wrong, but it's fine. But they've taken a dump too. It's just
because
taste change. Budweiser didn't need. Well, who is okay? A Joker? No, I didn't boot you. I was gonna boot you. I was so close. But with the Bud Light brand, I mean, that's again, know your audience.
Well, I mean, like the whole brand of Bud Light has been blue collar workers, just mom and pop, deep south,
frat boys, and frat boys.
Cheap beer to get,
Yeah.
Well, I don't expect it's going to impact the frat boys tons, but definitely the vast blue collar market that it ate, because it's inexpensive. You can have a few beers.
And other companies out there look to Budweiser. Look to Bud Light. That's what happens when you do that.
But I think this is where Blair, you were 100% right, is it does affect the frat boys because the frat boys can go to the cooler and just grab something else so easily. Mm-hmm. Now there's a stigma. I don't want to be photographed or have a Bud Light in my hand. I'm just going to do this instead. So it's like a combination of all that moved it from boycott to meme. And I think that's what's so fascinating about this story, why it's even remotely interesting. Because I still know lefties that won't go to Chick-fil-A. But that's sort of that's rare now compared to how it was, let's say, 5 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
Those kinds of things. But this doesn't seem like there's an end anytime in sight, like at all, because it was just easy to move on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
The market was so saturated anyway. Like the companies were fighting for that number one spot already, and when it's taken down, like there's like 4 or 5 ready to just swoop in and take its place.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, the whole thing was like primed for something like this happen, and then when it did, boom.
Yeah, even with the drop, I mean, the Modelo now is creeping up. Bud Light was the number one sold beer. It's still the number one sold beer, but for now. But I'm just saying. Yeah. But I'm just saying that. That's how far down that's how good Bud Light had it. There was no one even close to them.
Yeah, they owned beer for years.
Like beer and Bud Light were kind of synonymous for a while.
Yeah.
We had the Bud Bowl, the little Bud Light Bowl.
I want to see the Bud Light Bowl now. That's great.
Oh God,
some of the other brands that Anheuser-Busch owns, like Busch, and they've been drunk by generations of people.
Right.
Oh yeah.
And
people are not wanting to drink that anymore.
Thrown those people under the bus.
Yeah. And they get the younger generation, they don't want to drink their grandparents' beer,
No.
They want their own.
A lot of the younger generation, they don't drink Bud Light anyway. So Anheuser-Busch was going for a demographic that really doesn't exist for them.
Exactly. Yeah, these are more of your flavored bourbon people, or your flavored vodkas, or your flavored seltzer water type stuff.
I hate them.
Sounds like Marvel Comics marketing plan to me. So, yep.
They took a page from them, that's for sure.
Absolutely. Every time I open a comic book and it's pink and magenta and light blue, I'm like, oh, yep, there it is. It's a Bud Light program right there for me.
Yep.